Okay, everyone, welcome back to another live stream. And of course, as you can tell from the title, today we will be talking finally about Sarah Burton's Givenchy debut collection. So I hope everyone is doing well. And without further ado, I think let's just jump straight into it. So, like I said, we're analyzing Sarah Burton's Givenchy debut. For guys that don't really know kind of what's been going on, so Sarah Burton was actually announced as the creative director of Givenchy last year. This came after a period of loads of speculation as to where exactly is she going to go. There are so many jobs that were up for grabs, and I saw Sarah Burton's name kind of be thrown in the mix with everyone else that we typically see in for so many different jobs. Of course, she was announced as Givenchy. It was kind of a full circle moment, considering that Lee McQueen himself worked at Givenchy and Sarah Burton worked for Lee McQueen for so many years before taking over his eponymous label. Also, Sarah Burton did work with McQueen when he was at Givenchy. So the whole thing, to be very honest with you, is a full circle moment. She would have been very influenced by the things that she saw during McQueen's time, stuff that she learnt, designs that she even made, exposure that she had. So that's why when she was announced as the creative director of Givenchy, it only made sense. It was only right. Like all the symbolism and familiarity is there, so it made all the sense in the world, to be honest. This came after a Matthew Williams tenure that some people liked, some people didn't like, and then the team was essentially designing a few collections before Sarah Burton came in, essentially. So let me show you guys the show notes, because I think there are some very interesting points made via the show notes. So these are the show notes here, and I think it gives us a good sense of where Sarah Burton really started from in this collection, in terms of like what her ideas were and what she was thinking of when she made the collection. Let me just see if I can zoom in on that slightly. Give me 1 second. Bear with me a second. Okay, so as you can see, a quote here: to go forward, you have to go back to the beginning. To me, that's about the atelier. It's the heart and soul of Givenchy. And for people that don't know, this was kind of the, typical theme of the Givenchy collection. Sarah Burton really wanted to go back to the essence of what Givenchy is and kind of what Givenchy represents. As you can see, they've talked about the fact that she found these patterns discovered in a hidden cupboard in his first maison. And it's very interesting because that then became sort of the backdrop of the collection. When you look at their Instagram page, they've clearly highlighted it on their page that these patterns here, these packets of patterns, um, were rediscovered, and they kind of became what the guests sat on. So they kind of turned these into the set in a way, which I thought was very interesting and a nice little touch. It was very nice to see. It was very, very nice. So that was that was interesting. But going back to the show notes, what Sarah Burton said, to quote her directly, is, "It's my natural instinct to go back to pattern cutting, to craftsmanship, to cut, shape, and proportion. It's what I feel, how I work, and want to do." And this is very interesting. So starting here, a lot of the silhouettes in the collection really were inspired by the Stockman mannequins in the studio. Now, guys that know anything about fashion will know that, Stockman has become kind of the gold standard when it comes to a lot of mannequins for a lot of brands. And she was inspired by the one specifically in the Givenchy Atelier. So when we go into looking at the actual garments, you'll see that the silhouette of a lot of the coats, some in a woman's wear shape and some in a men's wear shape, were very much inspired by the silhouette of this mannequin. Reason being, Sarah Burton sees that as like the true essence of where, pattern making or draping starts, because as a designer, that's kind of what you see on a daily basis. And I like her thought process when she was thinking about that. So like it says, starting from the body up, from the imagery of the studio Stockman stamped Givenchy 1952, the rhythm of her collection evolves around tailoring, merging and counterpointing masculine techniques with feminine shape. Through salons stripped back to their original beauty, a sense of powerful femininity is constructed, recut, played with, and enjoyed from all angles, from a woman's point of view. I want to address everything about modern women: strength, vulnerability, emotional intelligence, feeling powerful or very sexy, all of it. And there was this definite feminine edge and feminine focus that I saw throughout the collection, to be honest. Um, did I think all of it worked? No, but I definitely see where her thought process was, and I could understand where she was going with it. Reading on, symbolism and atmosphere flows through the precision of modern couture cut silhouettes, strong shoulders and an hourglass waist, the definitive line of jackets and coats, and two types of trousers walk in counterpoint with the free experimentation of shapes that happen in a studio. That was a big focus on the collection. When I looked at social media, I saw that a lot of the hourglass shapes were what people were praising. It was the big focus when people were like, yeah, we love Sarah Burton's tailoring and we love the tailoring that she's done as Givenchy. So that was clearly like a big focus. I think those will do really well, and I'll talk about that further later. But I think that's going to be pure gold for Givenchy, especially when it comes to sales. But moving on. Bolts of fabric are spontaneously poured as backless dresses or tied as a skirt. An incendiary female gaze, sexuality charges covered up fronts with bared backs and rivets the eye to the kick in the back of a black leather pencil skirt. Echoes of Hubert de Givenchy are caught but not replicated. I definitely agree with what they've said in the show notes, because when I was studying the show, and something about me is that I don't necessarily like reviewing shows immediately after, because I need to really take it in and really like do research and stuff. And when I was looking at kind of what were, because one of her main focuses was Givenchy's first collection that happened in 1952, and really referencing, you know, a lot of the looks in that collection. Also, kind of going back to the roots of what Givenchy is, this was a big focus that she talked about throughout her press run for the show. And she did kind of take elements of the collection and just change it slightly. I didn't like how she changed it, but I like her thought process, because I think that this is a debut collection, and I think if she has the same thought process, it's going to allow for some really interesting collections in the future. So I wasn't the biggest fan of this collection. That being said, I definitely agree with what they've said in the show notes, where she's taken Hubert de Givenchy's ideas. So they said echoes of Hubert de Givenchy are caught but not replicated. And we'll talk about that further. I just want to see if there's something else interesting they say about the show notes before we look deeper into it. So let's look at the runway show and let's have a look. So first of all, this collection came out with a bang. It's quite funny because, of course, we have these sort of mesh looks. I did not like this one bit. I did not like it. So this look is a one knit piece, right? So the whole thing is knitted from the bralette to the pants, the Givenchy written on. It's all one piece together. So technique wise, it's interesting. I do think that there's a lack of attention to detail because it's done in one piece and the numbers are shifted to the right hand side. That hurts my eyes. Knowing fully well that Sarah Burton is a sensational designer, I'm a big fan of her work, and I know that she does attention to detail, like it's really important to her work. However, I don't see the attention to detail here. This kind of looks sloppily done. The way that the numbers are shifting to one side is really bad. It's really, really bad. So straight off the bat, I wasn't really a fan. I like the location of the show. I really enjoyed that it was shown at the Salon on the 3 Avenue Georges Saint, which is the Maison's original address. I've also been there actually because I went to a Givenchy Risi one time and they had all the looks there. They do a lot of Reese's then, all sorts of other stuff there. She stripped it back, like I said. You can see them sitting on the files that were the patterns that she found of Givenchy. So that's really cool. But from the first look, I was like, okay, what are we really doing here? But let's watch on. Also, you can't see them there, but the boots with the Givenchy Paris 1952 printed, not the biggest fan. I like this version, which is more plain. I was a big fan of that. Now, what we're going to see, so a key theme in this collection, which is something that Sarah Burton talked about, is this idea of sexiness. And it's quite, it's funny. I keep talking about this idea of sexiness when it comes to fashion. We talked about this when it came to Haider Ackermann and his Tom Ford debut. This is also now another theme that we are talking about in Sarah Burton's collection. And this was something that she was really thinking about. She was thinking about different ways to reveal the skin in ways she hadn't before, because at McQueen, sexiness was not really too much of a key theme. And you could see the experimentation. You could see her trying to experiment. Of course, this is uncharted territory for her, especially. However, I don't think that in those knitted pieces it worked at all. um she did describe, those garments as like foundation garments, meaning this is an idea that she's going to build upon in the future. So I'm very much looking forward to how she brings that Givenchy sexiness into the modern day, because I think that first way of doing it with the whole engineered knit just wasn't it for me, to be honest. But that's a theme. So we tend to see that happen. Something I also need to tell you guys I think is really important when I was just, thinking about this show and collecting my thoughts, is that she talked a lot in her interviews about how this is Givenchy through the lens of the modern woman. So that is why it makes all the sense in the world why everything is really short. Because if you think of women from past generations, they wore garments that were longer, whereas I think the modern silhouettes are just shorter in general. And so that's kind of a more modern silhouette. Um, so that's why she has taken a lot of Givenchy looks, especially from 1952, and just like made the skirt shorter or made the coats sit shorter on the body. But let's watch on. Sarah Burton personally attacking OCD people that off center. Those are the boots that have the Givenchy Paris 1952 printed on. I wasn't a fan of, but I get the idea. It's kind of a return to Givenchy. It's looking at, the essence and kind of reminding people that, yeah, this brand started in 1952. Also, people were talking about yellow. Let me pause here. People were talking about how much yellow was in the collection. So Sarah Burton has said, I think it was her interview with Vogue or BF, I can't remember. But in one of her interviews, she said that yellow is actually going to become one of her key colors. So we had the Bottega green, now we have the Burberry blue, we had the Gucci Ancora red, and now we're going to have Givenchy yellow. When you look at her Instagram, you can see you had Timothy Chalamet in that yellow ensemble. A lot of the looks in this collection were yellow. I mean, a knitted piece was yellow. There's pieces like this. This piece was yellow. This piece was yellow. So that's why there's a lot of yellow in the collection. We're gonna have a Givenchy Sarah Burton yellow. That's kind of going to be a key color as we move into this era of Sarah Burton's Givenchy. So for anyone wondering, that's that. This also going back to Givenchy 1952 references and stuff like that. So for guys that don't know, this is a very Givenchy thing to do, as you guys can see here. This is from the Givenchy 1952 collection. This sort of triple tied chin high collar that I really like, I think is really cool. So what Sarah Burton did is she repurposed this and reimagined this in many different ways. I do like it as an element because she took garments that are usually sort of boring looking, not in cut. I think Sarah Burton is amazing when it comes to cuts and those kind of things, the craft side of things, but things that maybe to the average person looks basic. Adding these sort of tying elements really added a certain edge to the looks that I enjoyed. And those are some of the pieces that I did like. She did kind of work with it a lot. Some places it worked better than others, like the really exaggerated version. I wasn't really a fan of it. So stuff like this, I think it was too exaggerated. But on some skirts, as you guys will see, I think that it was more successful. Someone say Rassim's Calvin Klein. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Also, an element that I'm seeing because people talked about it, and I'm like, why aren't people talking about Sarah Burton's work at McQueen? Is the sleeves. A lot of people talked about the fact that they really enjoyed these sort of cocoon sleeves throughout the collection. I enjoyed it too, but only because I like Sarah Burton's work, and that is basically what she did at McQueen. Like if I show you now, just look at Vogue Runway. Just look. I don't even need to click into the collections. Look at all the sleeves in all the collections. That's kind of just a Sarah Burton thing. It's just kind of a theme throughout her work that she's always done. Like she literally does them all the time. I mean, I could click on any runaway show. You're going to see those kind of cocoon sort of sculpted sleeves. It's nothing new, especially from Sarah Burton. So I found it weird that everyone was like, yeah, it's like such a Givenchy thing to do. And I'm like, it's just a Sarah Burton thing to do, to be honest, if anything else. But I like them though. I do like the sleeves. Here we have these one piece knitted pieces, once again, just in different colors. I wasn't a fan of any of these looks, to be very honest with you. So yeah, and then the shoes with the print, I prefer the ones without the print, to be honest. I do like the body diversity. You have a larger model showing that her garments can actually work for different body types. I like that. Just not that piece though. Once again, we have the coats with the hourglass shape. These were some of the standouts, I think, of the collection. Also, what this reminds me of, funny enough, and when I was thinking about this collection, I was like, this is so interesting that seemingly Sarah Burton has sort of, looked at what the team was doing when Matthew Williams left. So actually, let me show you guys something. I want to show you guys just so you can see exactly what I'm getting at when I'm talking about this stuff. Let me show you guys 1 second. Show you guys. See if I can share this. Okay, cool. I can share it. Perfect. So you guys are looking at some of the Givenchy garments in the salon that I went to. So I was at the Givenchy salon in Paris not too long ago. This was from 2 collections ago of Givenchy designed by the team. This was after Matthew Williams. And I talked to members of the team and they sort of ran me through their ideas behind the whole collection and kind of what they were going for. And really what they were going for was kind of what Sarah Burton is saying. They wanted a return to the essence of what Givenchy is, kind of focusing on the outerwear because the outerwear sells really well. A lot of the women enjoy the outerwear. And really focusing on that as a garment category and seeing many different ways and different techniques they can use to make it interesting. Like they had this wiring technique that I thought was really cool on one of the dresses, but I want to show you guys the outerwear just to sort of put my point forward in terms of this, like going back to the essence. So they brought back the old Givenchy print from the 70s. They made that a print from the skirt. They used that as a print to the lining. Once again, you can see the Stockman that was, one of the focuses of Sarah Burton's shapes when it came to her debut collection. I want to show you guys the coats once again. The shape of the coats with the front cutout. That front cutout was something that she did to a dress. You can even see like the print, that old Givenchy print used as, lining. They brought back the oval shaped buttons, stuff like that. So when I think about Sarah Burton's collection, I was like, she must have had a very collaborative, way of working with the team, because so many elements of her debut collection, in my opinion, I was like, oh, a lot of these are elements that have kind of been, built upon from the collection that I saw that the team designed. It was almost like they were kind of talking about ideas that they wanted and Sarah Burton just added to it rather than just completely making it hers, to be honest. There's so many elements in this collection. And I'm like, oh, like when I spoke to the team not too long ago, these were some of the elements they were talking to me about as well. So I thought that was interesting just to bring up, going back to the collection. Also have a version of a Sarah Burton version of a suit. This is when she was talking about using masculine silhouettes, but doing it in a very, feminine way. Focus on the bags. One thing I will say about this collection, I absolutely love the accessories. I thought all of the accessories were winners, from the bags to some of the footwear, to the earrings, to the jewelry. Those like bracelets were really, really nice. What did Luke say? The problem with Givenchy is that it doesn't have a symbol like Dior or Chanel or Balenciaga. It's basically just conservative Parisian chic, but that leaves it open to interpretation. And this failed. I don't think it completely failed. I just think certain aspects. So, like, once again, this is my understanding of what. So, both of these looks, first of all, we have sort of what looks like sort of a leather biker jacket, which basically just looks like what Sarah Burton did in McQueen with some added Givenchy hints to it. So it's kind of like bringing a modern edge to Givenchy, which is something that she has clearly stated that she wants to do, right? So that makes sense for Givenchy. I just don't like the way it's styled. But I like the idea of kind of bringing these sort of more rugged elements to Givenchy, which is supposed to be ultra Parisian chic. I like that. I like the contrast there. You also have the Sarah Burton sleeves once again on that piece, or like here, where loads of things are really mini. So it's taking Givenchy. Givenchy made a lot of white dresses in his debut collection in 1952, and it's kind of taking those and shortening them to modernize them in a way. One of the themes that she actually talked about when she was talking about her collection was this idea of making things that don't really work, making things that are weird in a way and seeing how that works and kind of playing with that as an element. That's what I think she's doing here. Do I like it? Not necessarily. Do I think it works? Not necessarily, but I'm looking forward to how she continues to keep reinterpreting that, because the sense I got when I was looking at this collection was really like experimenting to see how many different ways she can push the edge when it comes to old Givenchy silhouettes and modernize them in a way. We see some of the gloves. The gloves are a very Givenchy thing. I think the first like image that comes into my mind when I think of Givenchy is Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast and Tiffany's with the famous black dress and the gloves. And so having gloves, it's neither here nor there, but it's a very Givenchy thing to do. Nicholas Wright says, I love Givenchy. I love Givenchy too. Here we've got the draping once again. A lot of pieces had this sort of draping from the neck with an open back type of vibe. This is once again Sarah Burton playing and experimenting with her ideas of what she feels sexiness is. Here we have the 1952 knot. Once again, as a collar, I think that's too exaggerated. Let me pause it. For guys that are new to the stream, what she's referencing is this. I so much prefer this to kind of what she's done. It's too much. It's too exaggerated. Like, realistically, how are you going to wear those compared to something like this, right? The triple tied chin collar. I love this as an element. It adds a certain chic and pizzazz to an outfit. But I just think the way she did it is too much. Realistically, who wants to wear a collar that is like huge like that? Like, it's way too exaggerated. Way, way, way too exaggerated. And so I appreciate the experimentation. I just think that some of the stuff needs to be refined, and we're onto a winner. And I know she's going to refine it because one is just one collection, and there are so many Sarah Burton collections that I love, so I know what she's capable of. Brooklyn says it's very costumey. I don't think so, actually. I think a lot of the collection is very classic and bare bones, with a few bits that are just a bit too OTT. A bit too OTT. So here's what I'm talking about once again, where she's taken that knot idea from 1952 and put it in many different elements. So here we can see it on a skirt, we can see it on the back of this piece. But I just think that the way she did it is too exaggerated. If she made those knots smaller, I think it would be great. I think it works for the skirt though. I think it works for the skirt more so than the collars. The skirt, it kind of looks cool. Let's see. Okay, this was the worst piece of the collection. This is the piece. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. This is another sort of classic skirt, leather shirt with the nice cuff detail. So this here, this So, do you know? Let me tell you guys something funny that I thought when I saw this, because there's a very specific reference that I was thinking about when the first time I saw this. So let me just go on Instagram, just so I don't like. I'll put it in her words what she said about this piece, right? So she said that this piece is a woman's treasures, antique makeup compacts, embroidered mirrors, and real powder puff. So the idea is kind of, because once again, her idea of Givenchy is kind of like designing clothes for the modern woman. It's kind of looking at what are things for modern women that are must haves or that they use a lot, right? And so I thought that that was a fun idea. Just don't like the way it was executed, right? And the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this was, isn't it funny how Hubert de Givenchy worked for Schiaparelli? And when you think of modern Schiaparelli, Daniel Roseberry famously did that weird microchip dress. And this kind of just looks like a makeup version of the Schiaparelli microchip dress. So I could see like this sort of love triangle between Hubert de Givenchy working at Schiaparelli and then Modern Schiaparelli by Daniel Roseberry, them doing that microchip dress, and then this microchip dress kind of inspiring a beauty version of it. To be honest, I thought that was kind of funny as a thought process in my head. But yeah, I didn't really like the way it was executed, and I know that Sarah Burton can take ideas like this and make them interesting. I've seen her do this at McQueen so many times. Case in point, this is a collection that comes to my mind all the time, the Fall Winter 2011 collection. Like when she did, like she made shoes and this piece that kind of looks like sort of pottery mosaiced into a piece that I thought was amazing, and the way it was done. And there's so many, we could be here forever. There's so many examples of like her doing that. And I was just like, why didn't she bring that same level of, attention to detail and stuff to the Givenchy collection when it comes to pieces like this? So that was kind of something I was thinking. So yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of this whole thing. But let's go on. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, another piece, the oversized piece. That's a very like modern silhouette. Everyone is doing the whole oversized thing. The trench coat, I love that. I thought this was beautiful, to be fair, with the Sarah Burton sleeves, the cropped elements. I thought this was amazing. The sort of crop jacket with I thought that was great. The back detailing, I really like that. I hope a lot of people buy that and wear that. I want to see that on the streets, to be honest. I definitely want to see that. We've got some more Sarah Burton sleeves with the pencil skirts. This I've genuinely seen her design this at McQueen. Like this, like the bra with the sleeves with the pencil skirt. She has literally done that multiple times at McQueen. So that was neither here nor there. That was literally just Sarah Burton McQueen. Got some more classic looks. I think all this stuff is going to sell because it's kind of like beautifully made, nice fabrics, well crafted, with an interesting, flattering shape. Those pieces do veer in the realm of Phoebe Philo sort of thing. So it's like, are you going to buy this version or the Phoebe Philo version? But I do like those pieces nonetheless. Okay, yeah, Luke even said it, just as I said it, the Phoebe Philo territory. Here we go again. Some more of the tying detail, the knot detail, and then also the yellow, the Givenchy yellow. I just don't like the way she did the knot. I like the idea, and that's the problem. Because I like that she referenced that. I think the accessories are really lackluster in fashion right now. And I think if you can find a way to sort of make these tiny details where people can buy this little, knot necklace or bracelet or add it to a skirt or use it as a belt. That could be a really cool thing. I hope she continues working with that. I just don't like the way that she did it a lot in this collection. I think the only, like I said earlier, the only version that actually works is when it was done on the skirt. The ones with the coats look horrid, the oversized ones, right? But I like the idea, and I think she's going to do some really, really nice stuff moving forward. got some more embroidery. That's also something that Sarah Burton has been known for at McQueen, you know, like embellishments, embroidery. She's known for florals at McQueen. I didn't see a lot of florals in this collection, to be honest. Um, but we'll see some more of that moving forward, I'm sure. There we go again with the knots. Like I said earlier, I think it works a lot more with the skirts. It works way better with the skirts. We also have the slit. And then some more classic looks once again. Who's doing accessories? Do you mean for Givenchy? I have no idea, to be honest. I need to look into that. I need to look into that. Just as I said, we haven't seen a lot of florals. Obviously, we get some floral here, but not much. Not much. Well, I must say, by the way, the earrings across this collection were absolutely amazing. Oh my god, I'm gonna get demonetized. Thank you very much, Sarah Burton. Thank you so much, Sarah Burton. I'm gonna get demonetized for that. Oh well. Oh well. And then we have so this whole thing that when I was talking about, she did this in many different pieces, kind of flipping the dress in a way, so front to back was kind of her working with elements and kind of stripping things back and then making things weird. This is what she was doing essentially. She did this and this. There was a gray look that was like that too. Um, so yeah, that's the inspiration behind that. That's why you're seeing the buttons at the back and stuff like that. Some more tutus. And then the two. So something that Sarah Burton has been doing at McQueen, she does it here again. So at McQueen, I feel like the footwear, I did like some of the footwear in this collection. But I've seen better from Sarah Burton. Sarah Burton actually is well known for making really interesting footwear at McQueen. Like, and something she's famous for doing, especially at McQueen, is she'll take an element from a look and turn that into the footwear. So going back to this look that I absolutely love from one of my favorite collections from Sarah Burton at McQueen, the Fall Winter 2011 collection. So you can see this sort of mosaic of pottery that I was talking about earlier, and then she's transformed that same element into the footwear. So going back into this collection, we have another Sarah Burton ism where she's designed these sort of tutu looks and she's used that tool as part of the heels also and converted it into footwear. Very something that she always does. She does it all the time. And I found it really strange that a lot of people didn't see all these Sarah Burton isms when people are doing their reviews of the Givenchy. Here we have another knot detailing on the back once again. The modern woman apparently really loves ballet, or that's what ChatGPT told her when she asked about ballet called. Damn, that's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. That's a bit harsh. Ken just said, I've been looking for those shoes and cannot find them. Hey, good luck with your search. When you find them, I'd love to see them. Please send me a picture of them when you find them. Here, this is another silhouette. So another Sarah Burtonisms, just to get these Sarah Burtonisms out the way. So this is actually referencing directly a look, a gown, a couture gown from Givenchy's debut collection. However, what Sarah Burton did was cut out the front so that you can see the legs, and it kind of is her way of adding a sort of sexiness and kind of modernizing it in a way and kind of making you think. It's also a very Givenchy thing because Givenchy also made coats that had the front cutouts with the long back. So I think this is quite intelligent in the sense that she's taken a gown, she's cut out the front and taken that cutout element from Givenchy's own work and just put it into a different piece. So I like her thought process. Do I like how it ended up looking aesthetically? No, but I like her thought process in making it. Um, and then the whole embroidery thing is something that she's been doing at McQueen forever. The white looks with the lace and stuff, she does that at McQueen all the time. Well, she did that because she's no longer there. So she did that. That's in the past tense, but she did that a lot at McQueen. Here's some more yellow. So much yellow. Do you guys, I'm curious, do you guys think that this Givenchy yellow is going to stick? Do you guys think that this is going to work long term for Givenchy? I'm very curious to see what all of you think. If we're here for the Givenchy yellow. Culture says the yellow is not right. Damn. Tough crowd. Tough crowd. Did Yugi say men don't like yellow? To be honest, this is not really a collection designed for men, though. It's designed for women. So I think it's women. What do you guys think? I want to know what the women in the chat think. But yeah, so all these sort of elements of imperfection, which is a very like McQueen thing, like sort of rough edges and stuff. I think in one of her quotes for this collection, she said, I love the idea of imperfection and beauty. So when you see those kind of weird backwards to front coats and things kind of a bit too short for comfort, and stuff like that, to the point where it makes you look twice, or taking the knot detailing and then making those exaggerated. That's kind of what she's getting at with that. She said, to quote her directly, she said, everything's slightly unraveled because I think the whole world is unraveling. There had to be a sort of sensuality to it and a kind of youthful spirit, almost like you'd hacked it off yourself. So there's like this deliberate sense of kind of like you've kind of edited elements of your own dress or edited elements of your own coat to it. And that was kind of what she was going for. So I think, all in all, when it comes to this collection, I love the accessories. I thought they were great. The coats were amazing. I love the trench coat. I love the ideas. What I really came out of this collection loving, even though a lot of the looks I didn't like, was her thought process, the way she's thinking, because I know that this is a sort of a palette cleanser. This is her first collection, and I believe in Sarah Burton. I love her work, so I know that she's going to build on it moving forward, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. So is this, Sarah Burton's best work? No. Am I a fan of loads of stuff that she's done at McQueen over this? Yes. However, I think that the knot detailing can really become a very interesting accessory. I think this whole idea of everything unraveling because the world is unraveling and things being imperfect deliberately, that can be a thing. I like that she's clearly focusing on the archives, looking at 1952. Printed that on a lot of pieces, embroidered Givenchy 1952 onto pieces. So you can tell that she's really focusing on the essence of what Givenchy represents. You can see the guests right there sitting on these makeshift couture files for Givenchy, the patterns for Givenchy. So I like the thought process. I think that we're going to see some very interesting things from Sarah Burton moving forward. But I do think I did expect more from her debut collection. I will say that, though. I will definitely say that. But either way, I'm still a Sarah Burton fan. I'm still a Sarah Burton fanboy regardless. I absolutely love Sarah Burton. Everyone standing ovation. The people really love this collection. She got a standing ovation from everyone. Shout out to Sarah Burton. So yeah, something I want to do quickly is go on the Instagram, because there are some details on the Instagram I thought were really interesting. Let me go back all the way back and just kind of run through. So here they've talked about brown paper packets containing Hubert de Givenchy's 1952 first couture patterns rediscovered, walled up in a hidden cupboard of his first maison de couture. To go forward, you have to go back to the beginning. That was a quote that was in the show notes that Sarah Burton said, essentially. Here we just see some more different images. This is a quote from Sarah Burton. I'm interested in the intersection of craftsmanship and form, the beauty of a very feminine tailored jacket redefined through traditional menswear construction, which once again influences like a lot of the footwear, a lot of the coats were inspired by that idea. So yeah, let's Let's move on from that. This is where I was like, the accessories are really nice. So I think that the having the whole Givenchy Paris 1952 thing, I think it works on the bracelets. I'd still rather maybe they made it sort of low key logo that they put on the bracelets instead, rather than just having Givenchy Paris 1952 boldly embossed onto the jewelry. Regardless, I kind of like the detailing on the jewelry. I think it looks nice. I think it looks chic. It's kind of like a statement bracelet where, or cuff. Let me use the right terminology, cuff. Um, that could really work on like a basic outfit. If you're just wearing like a plain black dress and then you have that, it's kind of like a statement piece that could really add a certain level of pizzazz to the look. It's a process. I see the past and present connections as well as new ideas. We shall see how this goes. It's a master's idea of work in progress. Yeah, for sure. And once again, I try my best not to compare old to the new in terms of being like, oh, I preferred what she did at McQueen because it's one collection. Like I have a whole body of work to go by when it comes to Sarah Burton. So it's, I can't really compare like that massive body of work to one collection of Givenchy. It's not even fair, to be honest. Moving on. So ready. So this is one of the not details that I've talked about over and over again. Strip back to cut, silhouette, and proportion, as she said. Women are multifaceted, are designed for all aspects of a woman's life. So that's an interesting quote, right? Saying that she designs for all aspects of a woman's life. Meaning the coat for, you know, the evening wear sort of coats, the evening wear gowns, the day to night coats, the footwear, the office wear that I saw throughout the collection. But then that sort of makeup women's essentials dress, what part of a woman's life is that for? What aspect of a woman's life is that for, to be honest? I don't really know what aspect of a woman requires a dress of mirrors and lipstick and foundation all over your dress. And then these fishnet pieces, is this supposed to be sort of beachwear? One thing I will say, beachwear is a Givenchy thing to make. I mean, there are some really famous Givenchy campaigns and stuff from a long time ago that had like swimwear and beachwear. And Givenchy himself actually used to design swimwear. So for you guys that know your fashion history, it's not out of the blue to have swimwear or stuff like that. Because I saw some people asking that in the chat. However, I just don't like this fishnet execution of it. But I still think that swimwear as a thing for Givenchy still makes sense, to be fair. And let's see what else she said. It's my natural instinct to go back to pattern cutting, to craftsmanship, to cut, shape, and proportion. It's what I feel, how I work, and want to do. Which, I mean, that's what we know Sarah Burton for, especially at McQueen. She was very much known for, you know, the silhouette and the cuts and the pattern making. So I don't doubt you, Sarah Burton. I don't doubt that. The makeup dress was just an inspiration to his earlier collection, especially when in the 50s, there are photographs of women using their styles of makeup compacts. Yeah, I understand that, but I just don't like the execution. So I showed you the McQueen collection for Winter 11, where she's taken something and embellished it into a dress. I think even if that's the inspiration, I just don't like the execution. And I am very hard on modern designers, especially when they make pieces like that. Because one thing I will say is that if a Lee McQueen was to make a dress where it's supposed to have lipstick and all this stuff, I just know that the way he would execute it would actually be something that you'd want to wear. Um, or even the way that Sarah Burton has executed other stuff, like when she uses feathers or flowers and embellishes that all into one dress and it looks sensational. So I know she can do it. I just don't like the way she executed it this time. So I don't, the idea is neither here nor there, but it's the execution that I have an issue with. When I looked at that makeup compact dress, I feel like she's trying to show that she can bring her McQueen inspiration to the house. But I think this is just a test to see how it looks in the show. Interesting, interesting. Also have some more Givenchy. Here we have some of the guests wearing the looks. Kate Blanchett. Let's see who else. Yeah, this is once again talking about the feminine tailoring with a masculine hand. I want to see if they have some images of the footwear because I thought some of the footwear is actually really interesting. Like those shoes and all in gold to match the buttons and the earrings. And this goes back to what I was saying about Sarah Burton. She likes to match elements of the pieces with the footwear. So like gold shoes with the gold earrings and the gold buttons. She does that all the time. So yeah, this is exactly what I was alluding to when I talked about like sort of these mini dresses. So intertwining the couture values of the past and the creative energy of the future. So this short is supposed to reflect kind of how the modern woman dresses and sort of a youthful energy to the modern woman. By having these like shortening old Givenchy silhouettes. What do you guys think about it though? Do you guys like it, especially the women in the chat? Like Culture, what do you think? I'm really curious. Or like Imani, I want to know what you guys think. Sarah that knows how to create beautiful silhouettes, but I think she needs time to find a defining shape for the house. Fernando, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. When I saw the collection, I didn't really focus on the footwear. I think they're focusing more on the clothes, especially the backward suits and dresses. I mean, they focus on everything. Otherwise, why put it on the runway, to be honest? I think they focus on everything. I think everything needs examination, to be honest. I really wish that even great designers had closer to a year to present a collection, specifically when transitioning to a major iconic brand. Yeah, because it's very difficult to kind of make your mark with a brand, especially a big brand like Givenchy, because the problem with debut collections is it's your first impression, and a lot of people like I give designers loads of grace. Not that Sarah Burton needs it. I mean, she's a legend in her own right. However, and I'm a fan of her work, which is why I'm reviewing it. However, I think that a lot of people will just see her debut collection and the next collection, like I've said, I like her thought process. I like the thinking. And I think she's going to take that thinking. And I think her next collection, I can just imagine, is going to be really good. And I can imagine that a lot of people, based off of seeing her debut collection, will write it off immediately. And that's the problem with first impressions. First impressions is kind of like what's going to be embedded in people's minds. I mean, this will be in my mind forever now. Whenever I think of, oh, Sarah Burton's Givenchy debut, this is what will come to my mind. It's the same way when I think of Demna's Balenciaga debut. I think of taking couture shapes and modernizing them, like the whole C-shaped puffer jackets and the parkas and the dresses with the weird, prints and stuff. So those stuff always stick in your head. They always do. I mean, I wouldn't wear it because it's not my vibe, but I can see other women liking it. Interesting. It does look kind of very girly ballet core, like the kind of things that girls would wear with long tights and ballet flats, to be very honest. I also really love the earrings across the collection. I thought they were really nice. The footwear is not for me, especially with the Givenchy 1952 Paris printed. Oh no, on the band. It's not nice. Yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice. I know everyone is doing sort of the sort of ballet flat thing. Givenchy, do people really want Givenchy Paris like that on their footwear? I just don't like the way it looks. And they had it in so many different colorways too. I like the shape of it, the sort of flat front, the boxy shape. I like the shape. I just don't like the Givenchy Paris on the band. It's not nice. And the band does look very cheap also. Not a fan of those. Not a fan of those. The precision of couture cut silhouette sliced at the hem. And then these are the boots that I liked. I like the boots, just not the ones with the Givenchy Paris 1952 printed on it. But there were plainer versions, so I'm a big fan of those. I kind of like the shoes in a weird way. Hey, fashion is subjective, so the look of the footwear, especially the ballerina flats, do not look flattering, especially with the big strap with the logo on it. Yeah, I just don't. So let me go back to the strap. The strap looks cheap, also. Like I don't, and then I think actually, because let me zoom in 1 second. So it has 4 stitches. So it's not even like a print or anything. It's just it's basically like a tag. So what they've done is they've used a Givenchy tag and just stitched that onto the band of the footwear, which I guess it's because Sarah Burton is going back to this whole focusing on the essence. So it's kind of taking the label and putting the label on the footwear. I just don't like it though. I don't like the way it looks. It looks cheap. I don't want the strap of my footwear to have 4 stitches of a label on it. I just don't think that looks nice. But obviously that's just subjective. Like it's not there's nothing factual to what I'm saying. It's just my personal preference. But the boots, I like those though. I like the boots. I like the boots. I like the boots. And the anatomy of a new look, a new kind of Givenchy tailoring. So when she says a new kind of Givenchy tailoring, is this going to form the basis of what Sarah Burton's Givenchy tailoring is going to look like? Maya says maybe you're supposed to cut it off. That's insane. That's absolutely insane, to be honest. Completely insane. Maybe you're supposed to cut it off. Yeah, this is once again a sense of powerful femininity that she said in the description concerning these one piece knitted pieces. I don't know, not the biggest fan of the whole fishnet thing. Cut, shape, and proportion. The trench coat was a piece I actually really loved. I also thought the bags were amazing. Really, really nice bags. Here we go. Imaginary treasures found in a woman's handbag are incorporated into a couture corset dress. Corsets is also something that Sarah Burton is known for from her McQueen days. Like she's done corsets in every which way at McQueen. So bringing it back to Givenchy is, nothing surprising there. Nothing surprising. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So that's the dress before it has all the makeup bits on it. And I kind of like the dress plain, to be very honest with you. I think it looks nice. Um yeah, okay, interesting. Some lipstick. Let's see. There's some foundation with the mirror. What else can we see? I see a dabbing sponge. Interesting. It's so funny. Every time I say interesting, I just think of the comments. There are people that get mad when I say, stop saying interesting every 5 minutes. I'm actively pissing people off by saying that word. Experimentation of shapes. I like the sunglasses, by the way. These sort of futuristic gold or silver sunglasses. They're really cool, actually. I think they're really, really cool. I'd like to see a lot of people wearing those on the streets of Paris, the streets of New York, the streets of Tokyo, the streets of Shanghai. I love to see a lot of people wearing those. They just kind of look odd, but in a good way. Odd in a good way. Here, this is what I said. These silhouettes were more veering on Phoebe Philo. The agent says you need a beautiful face and body for some of these pieces to work. Otherwise, it's complicated. Interesting. Sunglasses don't feel like the same person as the clothes, but I don't mind them. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. They kind of don't fit into the theme of the collection. That's more like chic and pared back. But as an individual accessory, I like it. And I mean, when people go into a store and buy things, they're not buying. Well, I mean, some people buy a full look, but for the most part, you're gonna see them you're gonna see them displayed separately to everything else. It's not like they're gonna have the sunglass sitting on the dress, sitting on the footwear. That's not really how it's going to be presented in a store. Yeah, these shoes, I really like them. Once again, does this have the same? Yeah, so this seems to be the theme that was going on throughout the footwear where it's kind of just the tag, the Givenchy tag tagged onto, no pun intended, tagged onto the footwear. I just don't like it though. I think it works a lot better on these though than on the ballet flats. I think it looks a lot better on this piece. But I just, yeah, I don't know. Someone is saying anything is better than Matthew Williams. Damn, tough crowd today. Goodness gracious, tough crowd. Tough crowd. All right, let's go through. So the knot detail, big fan. I hope she continues using it, just not this exaggerated. For the last time, for the guys new in the chat, this is what she's referencing. So I think it could work as a really cool accessory, even as bracelets in the future, as ankle accessories, as belts, even like a knotted belt could be really cool as a thing that you wear if you like tuck in your trousers or something. She can find it. I mean, she's a designer, she'll find ways. But I don't like the way it was done in this collection. But if she continues working on that, I think it could actually turn into something that sells well and is very distinctive when it comes to when we think of Sarah Burton Givenchy, those will be one of those like key elements that we think about. So I like the where she was going with it for sure. Here we have once again those futuristic sunglasses and the crazy earrings. She was going crazy with the earrings. I wonder how heavy some of these they look so heavy. The kind of earrings that would actually hurt your ears when you wear them. Like you can't wear them for too long. Weigh your ears down. Yeah, she could do a clutch for sure. Definitely. Some more Givenchy yellow. I really want to know. I'm so fascinated to see if this Givenchy yellow thing actually catches on and how she's going to use it. Like, are they going to use it in campaigns? Quite obviously, the way that Daniel Lee has at Burberry with these like sort of blue things taking over a train station and turning it blue and all this weird stuff. Or is it just going to be an understated thing that we kind of understand by seeing so many yellow looks and also seeing the celebrities that are dressed in Givenchy wearing that yellow? And also this goes back into the theme that I was saying about Sarah Burton, where she takes an element from the actual pieces and turns it into the footwear. Once again, we have that here done so clearly. Embroidery is something she did almost every collection at McQueen, so her bringing it to Givenchy is not anything that surprises me. I kind of like that, to see a lot of her Sarah Burton isms at Givenchy. Let me see what else is left, guys. What have we missed out? You have a knot once again. We've kind of seen that. I think Sarah Burton wants to make yellow the color of the brand, the same way Daniel Lee's blue for Burberry and the Valentino red. Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, like the Gucci Ancora red too, and the earlier Bottega green and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. I designed for all the women who inspire me. Wait, let me go back. I feel like we missed something there. Okay, the shoes, puff detailing on the shoes, the black sleeves, very breakfast and Tiffany's coded. These elements in this dress are all elements that were turned into earrings or like this sort of chandelier jewel type of detail was something that was turned into bracelets, turned into earrings, turned into necklaces throughout the collection. If you look, also you can even see on the bags too. I think those would catch on. I think those will do really well for Givenchy, to be honest. Here again, once we can see the earrings, the detail done in the earrings. This is some of the little florals we got in the collection, even though Sarah Burton is very much known for florals. But I like this look though. I thought it was really nice. I liked it. The neckline with the knot, once again, a bit too exaggerated. If she made the knot smaller, I think she would have been onto a winner with that one. I just think that the way the fabric from the knot drapes isn't flattering, especially on the back, the way it's swinging oddly. But if it was smaller, kind of like the OG knot, but just to the side, amazing. It would have been amazing. Okay, we've got the tall heels. That was I kind of like those, to be fair. I'm not too mad at that. The tutu dresses gonna get me demonetized. Too much titties. Too much titty for YouTube, at least. They're like, we detected boobs on your page, so you cannot be monetized for this video. Yeah, this was okay. She even said it, but I've seen the piece that she's referencing. She said the 50s couture silhouette. So this is what I was talking about when I said earlier that she's basically not copied, but referenced that silhouette and then just made it kind of more modern with the overly exaggerated cutout at the front and stuff. I'm still deciding if I like this or not. If she's going to stick to that yellow, then she has to apply it to different items, maybe accessories or small pieces, because that yellow is a headache. Interesting. If Sarah Burton and Claire White Keller, what could create? Wait, what? It would be a match made in heaven. This collection is good, but it would be better if it was the two of them. Do you mean it would have been better if Claire White Keller and Sarah Burton worked on the collection collaboratively? Is that what you mean? Claire White Keller did an amazing job when it comes to the couture for the house. Yeah, I think Claire White Keller is an amazing designer, and I think she did great at Givenchy. The reason why she left apparently was because it wasn't selling. And that's the problem, because you have to strike the perfect balance between showing your skill and your craft as a designer, but also making garments that are actually desirable for people to buy and easy for people to wear. Because the average person is very basic in the way that they want to dress. They kind of just want to wear really nice stuff, really chic things with an edge. If you go a bit too far, they won't buy it and they won't wear it because it's a bit too off to the side for most people. Obviously, we'll see the celebrities wearing that stuff, but none of those celebrities buy it. They are dressed by the brands directly, and if they do own it, they're probably gifted it from the brands. So that's not really a direct, you know, you can't really use that as a case study as to, oh yeah, people are actually wearing this piece, because no one actually bought it. It was, yeah, they gave it to a celebrity or they dressed the celebrity in those looks. And celebrities always look great in a lot of things that we see on the red carpet. I did like the casting though. To give her credit, the casting was sensational. Really did enjoy the casting in this collection. I thought it was great. I don't know who they worked with the casting, or if it was actually Sarah Burton that picked the models herself, but great casting. Great casting. Also, shout out to Alex. Alex is everywhere these days. Alex really is like becoming gold standard model. Let's just skip through some more models quickly. Mona, Adut. Some really hard hitters, like from the big models to the actresses in this collection. Everyone was there. Really expensive casting, to be very honest with you. Please stop showing that yellow ball gown. That's insane. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on the collection. That is everything that I thought. That's my word vomit of everything that I thought when I looked at the collection. I'll read some more of your thoughts before I part ways with you guys. But this was really fun. Haven't done a stream in a very long time. It feels more than a week, almost 2 weeks actually. So this was fun to do, to talk about Sarah Burton Givenchy. I'm looking forward to what she does in the future. I'm really looking forward to her whole body of work at Givenchy and seeing what her tenure holds. There's some really good stuff here that can be built upon. I just think, one, she needs to refine the sexiness part. I want to see what she does with the yellow, Color, I really think that the knot could be interesting if she does it in different ways. And yeah, that's kind of what I think. Fernando says, yes, I was talking about Sarah Burton and Claire White Keller being co-creative directors of the brand. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Claire White Keller right now, she's enjoying herself, making bank at Uniqlo, probably getting paid a killing. So there's that. So that's probably never going to happen, to be honest. But I see what you mean. I see what you mean. I see what you are getting at. Interested to see what she could do with menswear and couture. Yeah, that should be interesting. I mean, Sarah Burton is she's primed for couture. Like, I have no I know Sarah Burton's couture is about to be sensational. If she does do couture. If she does. Big if. Big if. I'm interested to see what she could do. So yeah, anyway, guys, I'll now take my leave. I shall be back streaming very frequently by my standards. That means one stream every couple of days. I will be also streaming again today, but later on in the day. So look out for that. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Hopefully, you guys